in the crisis and writing and adding their little sense as far as seeking justice and making sure that peace is actually put out of flame is concerned. I'm going to be introducing my guest to you right after this jingle break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, if you are just finding us live, welcome. This is Matters, and I am at the level of the anchor. I am Mabel Camden, and today we are going to be looking at what needs to be done, what parties are supposed to be doing their roles, and what roles is supposed to be played as far as bringing down the rattling guns that has been counting for about or lingering for about 7 years and counting is concerned. Of course, we have a political analyst and a social commentator, Mr. Sinjo Armstrong, who also doubles or comes as a businessman. He is here on the platform to garnish matters today in a way that is very much befitting. You're very welcome, Mr. Sinjo Armstrong.
Thank you very much, Mabel. Good evening and welcome to my co-panelist. I'm glad to share the platform with you this evening. I equally want to welcome our televiewers who have taken the appointment again to be part of another exciting program, Matters. It has been a very hectic weekend, considering that we had the Mankaman Race of Hope. Of course, it was a race of hope, but again ended with mixed blessings. Yeah, we saw what we saw. And of course, at the end of the day, it was on a sad note, with the passing away of Kenya athlete, which at the moment everyone was jubilating, but on that sad note, that incident happened. So I just want to seize this opportunity to extend my heartfelt condolences to all other athletes, especially the Kenyans, who are bereaved at this hour, and just to say, well, it is God's will, and we hope that the Spirit continue to comfort the mourners, especially the colleague of the Kenya athlete who passed away. So it has been a very disturbing week here in the city of Buea. We pray that God continue to grant rest and peace for the departed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinjo. Of course, the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, just like what we have never heard before, losing an artist, an athlete. I mean, it was welcomed with mixed blessings. While many, had their hopes on the Kenyan athlete who was actually leading the race.
Exactly.
And in a twist of fate, we hear his passing. I mean, our heart goes with the Kenyans as they are mourning because it was actually a beacon of hope for the country.
Exactly.
Of course, while we are actually fixing our gaze on the sports, the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, we are also going to be looking at the political matter that, of course, is going to be overwhelming the debate on the panel today. We also want to introduce the next available person that is on the rostrum, and that is going to be holding my hands for the next 2 hours, and we are going to be talking something insightful to make sure that we bring in palpable solutions to the rattling guns that have been raging on for about 7 years now. He is a youth coach. He is a youth leader. He is a leadership coach, and of course, he is a civil society actor. Mr. Dambe Humphrey, you're welcome.
Actually, it's Henry. Thank you very much, Mabel. And I think it's an honor to share platform with my brother and to discuss politics and also civil society matters too. And I really want to take time to appreciate and encourage our viewers who are actually glued on their screen this evening that is going to be an exciting session as we are going to be learning together. And talking about the month, Cameroon Race of Hope. Before that, we had the Youth Day, which also a sad situation happened in Cambe. We continue to extend our condolences to all the bereaved families, and also especially to those who are still taking treatment in the hospital. We pray that God will continue to hasten and hasten their recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tambe Henry. It is actually your very first outing here with me on the program Matters, and we understand that civil society actors have a lot to do as far as extinguishing this crisis is concerned. When the topic was sent to you, do you think that it is something timely, or the media is not lambasting on the Anglophone crisis enough, or do you think that this could be as a means, to beckon the so much desired peace that we have been beckoning on for the last 7 years and counting now? Do you think trumpeting the way to go and overstretching topics about the Anglophone crisis and ways to seek solutions is a way to go?
Thank you, Mabel. I think when I received the topic, 7 years gone has been dancing, I saw myself involved in the topic because I'm a youth. And what solutions will youth have to bring the crisis to an end? I would just like us to take a flashback. We spoke about October in the Northwest. The crisis, we had a all protest in the 22nd of September 2016. And I can tell you, I was in that protest. I was in the line, the front line. Because it started like a vision for us. It started like something that was introduced to
vindicate the people.
Good. So we all saw it and buy the idea. But today, I think it's something else. And if we are talking about years of gunshots, we are talking about 7 years of hundreds of lives gone. We are talking about 7 years of villages extinct. We are talking of 7 years of sorrow.
Business owners.
We are talking of 7 years of businesses that have gone extinct. So we cannot list the atrocities that has come after these 7 years. Now, I think it's a very, very timely topic, and we really have a lot to talk about this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Henry. We cannot talk about the Anglophone crisis elaborately without looking at the stats, Mr. Sinju. Just like what Mr. Tambe Henry is saying, that during the protest in 2016, he was one of the people, the frontliners of the protest, because they thought this was something that was going or meant to vindicate or liberate English Cameroonians. But in a twist of fate, we see a painful turn of events. Let us go back to the stats. Did you think Anglophone Cameroonians who came out, or Cameroonians who came out in their numbers in 2016, born from the crusade of lawyers and teachers beckoning on government for some modifications, and then the common man picked it up? Do you think that was the right course to go, even though it has escalated now into something else that many seem not to describe?
Okay, thank you. First, let me make a comment on the topic. I think I'd appreciate the topic a lot, especially the second part, how can we be part of the solution? Not like other topic will say, how can the government? Yeah, because here everyone is involved. Everyone in any sector is involved. The crisis that has been raging on for 7 years plus now, it's a matter of all of us, because it touches everyone, including those in the other regions who are not facing this crisis. So everyone has to come on board. So I really appreciate the topic, which I think at the end of the program we are going to look at how can we be part of the solution. Now, you asked a question about the onset of the crisis. Yeah, it is true. We all know that the crisis started as a result of grievances that lawyers, Anglophone lawyers and teachers raise. Has to do with the largely education system and the judicial system, yeah, which they raised, which for the past couple of years they have been raising it, yeah, because we know we have had several, if not 1, 2, 3 all Anglophone conferences, of course, one of which we all know that was chaired by the late Cardinal Tumi, who he has been at the front line of all the 2 conferences. And this issue, the education system, the judicial system in the Anglophone subsystem has been brought to the notice of the Yaoundé administration. So in September 2016, of course, so they felt that it was time to actually draw the attention of the government through what was termed a peaceful protest. Yeah, because sometimes, when something is done diplomatically, if you see that the awareness, or if you see that the attention of the person who should actually drawn the thing to has not been called, sometimes you need to cry out. And I think that is exactly what the lawyers and the teachers did in that September 2016. So which they took it for a peaceful protest. I call it peaceful because we all know it started very peaceful. We watch all how it unfolded. And I want to say that their grievances raised at that moment were genuine, truth be told, were genuine, because when you look at it, what they raised, complain of the Anglophone subsystem, which I would not like to go into the details, which we all know, and the judiciary, it was quite genuine. And even though at the beginning of it, the government didn't want to give listening ears to it, but when things began taking a different turn, and government started saying that no, what these people are actually demanding for are genuine. And so, what actually really caused the crisis to escalate or to take a different twist was basically because of the fact that the government they were not taken very serious when they started crying for, when they started protesting, because they started 1 week, 2 weeks, and nothing was done. Even for a meeting to call the various trade unions, the lawyers and the teachers to talk to them, they never gave any listening ears. And so as the matter prolonged, we saw how the matter became worse. And what is really shocking is the fact that we have other union individuals that came into the matter. And I want to say that probably those who step in to join the lawyers and the teachers, those of the civil society individuals, probably it was because the response or the reaction from the government was delayed. And given the fact that the teachers and lawyers, they were bent on having a lasting solution to their grievances, and so that is why we had the people who came in. And so people came in now as with different motives, different objectives. Some came in and bought the goals or the objectives of the lawyers and teachers. Others came in, they used it as a platform to either seize the original plan, transform into something else, which we are actually seeing now. So, and that is how a crisis always starts. A crisis always starts with genuine protest, with genuine appeal. But again, if you the organizer of the protest, if you don't really understand those you are working with, you might have a problem. And I want to think that those who were actually at the front line, they failed in one way because they didn't take out time to equally explain, to those who were coming to join. Before you want to join a protest, want to join an association, a meeting, you must be able to understand their goal and objective. You must be able to understand it. And so this is where they fail. So it's regrettably that the thing prolonged, and others party came in now and decided to change the whole face of the struggle or the protest, which it turns into what I can in quote war that we are now facing today, which I think that it was a big problem. And had it been that government from the beginning would have given a listening ears from the beginning and take it very serious, you will notice that things will not be the way it is today. And I want to think that government on its part has really learned a great lesson of that, because we have seen many other trade unions which have raised simple complaint through letters. We have seen government come in immediately to see how they can negotiate. We saw our brother and sister in the Francophone region, teachers also, who for some time too, they have been raising grievances. We have seen how government too have been coming in promptly to see how they can arrest the situation. We were here on 31st December when the head of state delivered a message. We heard his message that some teachers too have raised concerns, especially in the Francophone zone. But again, they have made effort to see how they can provide solution. But again, sometimes teachers and everybody behave like Oliver Twist. You give the one more. And so I really appreciate how government too has taken experience or knowledge from the Anglophone crisis and are trying to prevent what is happening. So that is just what happened in 2016, September 2016, and to where we are today. But I want to think that where we are today, we are negligent from everyone's part. Everyone contributed to it to where we are today.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tambe, I think while Mr. Cindy is catching his breath, as somebody who is, an active youth in Cameroon, and as somebody who is a youth leader, would you think that at this point, accusing fingers should be pointed to government alone, or everybody has a part to blame in the course of stretching this elaborately and making it go out of place?
Thank you very much for that question. Talking about accusing finger, I would not think the government can be accused. Let me go back from what my brother was explaining. After the grand protest on the 22nd of September, I think about 3 days, UB students also protest, which I was among. And after the protest, that is where destruction started in Buea.
Looting and the rest.
Yes. And after the government have seen the pressure, the government called on the leaders, some leaders in the University of Buea, I don't want to call names, and asked them to form consortium or trade unions so that they can address some of these matters. Consortium were formed or trade unions were formed. Meetings were held in Bamenda, about 2 or 3 or 4. And the first meeting that was held in Bamenda, I cannot precise the date, they came out with a certain list with about 21 points. Out of the 21 points, the major points were the code of arms they are using in our courts, that is the common law, the lawyers are not abreast with it. And when it comes to the educational sector, they were telling the government that a lot of Francophone teachers are flocked our classroom, which makes the system of education looting. It is not having any value again, because imagine a staunch Francophone teacher teaching you in English. It makes the system watering. So some of these points were addressed on the table, and those who represented the head of state in Bamenda took this point back to Yaoundé. And some of the points were ticked that we are ready to do this, we are ready to do this, we are ready to do this. They called for the second meeting that, okay, this is what we have resolved. Now, when our brothers, or let me say our representatives, were going back, they have to add again more points to about 50. Why the government is struggling to reduce the 21 points that were brought? They want to see on the table they have more points. They said no. In the beginning we have 21 points and we have been able to redress about 10 so that things can calm down. They said no, because of the pressure from the people we have more points. The government said okay. They took again some of these points. They went back to Yaoundé. Upon coming back, lists have added. Now the government felt frustrated in a certain point, and now they could no more work with these people. They said it means the faith to see that situations can be solved is not there. Now I think if we can blame anybody, it should start at that point.
At what point?
At the point of negotiation, because there they were doing negotiating. You know, if me and you are negotiating, I will not totally accept everything from you, and you will not totally accept everything from me. So we have a cut-off line in the middle. And where this crisis had a failure was at that point. Now, at the last meeting, we heard of a situation where it did not even end, where there were gunshots, ministers were taken on helicopter. All of those things were not called for. And today we are finding ourselves in a situation where we are praying to God for an end.
In all of this speech making, are you saying that the Anglophone crisis would have been or could have been avoided?
I think so. I think so.
Stage? How so?
Definitely.
So if you think so,
if the leaders or the representative by then, because they were representative, that is what the government were calling them. They were representative of the people.
The people. The Southwest and Northwest.
The representative of the people. If they could have negotiated the points.
Clarity, representative of the people were Southwest.
They were actually the leaders of the protest. You know, the protest started that everyone from these two regions came. They had the leaders that
were selected,
which you know, Barrister Felix Congo and a host of others. They were actually the leaders. So of course, like he was saying, they were actually representing the views of the people, just like he said, from 2016, 2017. The point that they raised, they came back another, the thing moved from about 20 to 50. Yeah, about 20 to 50. And the reason they gave was that the people demanded for more points.
Yeah.
So it was like they were actually getting information from people and bringing it back, which I think that, like what he said, I think that no, they would have been fair enough to say no government in the world can provide the solution to you at once. No government in the world. I think that it's good that when someone presents you a gift, the gift might not be that valuable or what enough than what you were expecting. Madam Mabel, you should first of all accept the gift and say thank you. Then now you continue to press forth for more. Yes, you continue to press forth for more and not reject the gift, complain, say whatever on the say about the gift. Then no, it also shows that you are not grateful. Yeah, you are not grateful. So I think that this is when the leaders at that moment, this is where they failed at the moment. They should have been able to communicate to the public that no, this is what we have presented, the first 20 points or 21 points. The government has accepted to implement it. Let us watch and see how they go about it to calm the situation down.
Okay, now going back to the question, do you think that the crisis could have been avoided and how?
Yes, the crisis would have been avoided. This is just one. The first point I just mentioned is a way that could have been avoided. You know, and another one I mentioned earlier, the government would have taken prompt action. No, government delayed to listen to the protester for quite some time. In that September when they started, they think that no, it's a normal thing. The government actually delayed to listen to the protester, which really affected the crisis to escalate to what we have today. And another way which this crisis would have been avoided is a matter of we now those the people in the various sectors, because we play a great role to fund to make the crisis escalate. You remember within that moment? Yes, we now I'm talking about the people of these two regions. I'm not talking about the protester, because at that moment we were all following up, but we never paid attention to what a protest is. To start a protest is very easy, but to end a protest becomes very, very challenging.
And is this the reality of the
this is it.
crisis now?
This is it. So we fail to understand that we to start something is easy, but to end is a problem, because it started well. the grievances raised were genuine. A whole lot of Cameroonians, especially those in these two regions, and even our brothers in the east, across the Mongol, I'm talking on the Francophones, they saw that the grievances raised by the Anglophone are genuine, and they all supported it. But now, the problem is that it came at one moment where, instead of where the thing came, guns and arson attacks started ranting somewhere, we were promoting it and ignoring, we didn't know, through the social media. I know the internet play a great part to escalate this crisis. The internet played a great part because at that moment, information was circulating. People did not take time to follow the traditional media where they have a way. Everyone became a journalist at that moment. Everyone became, all of a sudden, in fact, the bloggers we have today in the Anglophone region and even other region emanate from the crisis in 2016. People became bloggers all over overnight without knowing the rules and regulation or what it requires to do journalism or to blog. So you also know that in a time of a crisis like this, these are certain information you need to filter out to blog. So people were blogging to create traffic on their pages. And so people were just like, there was a common saying that forward as you received. When information is getting in, you just forward. But without thinking that now, when you are forwarding information, there are certain things that you need to bear in mind. How will the people receive this information? How will this information change the mentality? How will people react? So we did not understand how the effect of forwarding this information is. So we play a great role to fund and to propagate false information within that moment. I remember at that moment, when the meeting was ongoing at Ayaba Hotel, there were information that the protest leader were arrested, they were locked up somewhere. There was type of confusion, and people, in fact, the whole social media was hot. So within that moment, the information that was going out were not being filtered.
So did that account for why government actually shut down internet in 2016?
Of course. We know at one moment government saw that the internet is actually playing more harm than good. They decided to shut down the internet. And people at that moment, the decision the government took was a wise one. If not, things would have turned out at that moment very terrible. And even though people tried to think that no, government will not allow people, is a people's right for communication, to access the internet. Yes, it's your right. But you need to understand that when a right is given, when a state emergency, and when a right is given to you, abuse your right to infringe on another person's right, it can be taken. Mind you that it's your right to play your music and enjoy in your home. But if the music go above and disturb another person, you see that your right now is actually affects another person. So at that moment, people's right for internet service were good. But again, the way and manner which they were using it was bad. And at that moment, we had the government. It was only after I did the research and understood that in some countries, for example, like China, they don't really use internet. They use internet is limited. They use internet, but certain application which the government don't have control over, it's like WhatsApp, is being monitored and restricted in China. You cannot use China, and people use some third-party programs like. The program we're using within that
VNN.
Is it VPN? Exactly. When they cut internet in Cameroon, that is what most people use in China, and in other countries is what happened. Internet is being regulated. In fact, there's a lot of social media that has been banned, that will not even accepted, like WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on and so. In China, they create their own particular application, which is WeChat. They used to communicate, a whole lot of them. So you see, it is because of all these things, because they have seen that the social media, the application that we use, which government don't have control over it, can cause a problem.
In your opening lines, you talked about something that started as a right cause,
yes,
but along the way, some other people brought the interest, and the people from the grassroots watching the program right now, another person may want to think that in substitution for that word, it could be compromised. Do you think at a certain level the Anglophone crisis has been compromised?
It has been compromised.
The original interest of the Anglophone crisis that was championed at the very, virgin beginning. Do you think that it has been compromised?
It is. It has been compromised because the Anglophone crisis is not a topic that we just jump into it in excitement. It has caused a whole lot of pain in the lives of so many people, a lot, even to the extent of me and you, because life in Buea don't used to be like this. Life in Kwakwa don't used to be like that. Life in Ekona don't used to be like that. But what we are saying is, the beginning, what was sold out to the people is not what we are seeing now. It's not. Yeah. And I think something went wrong along the line.
Can you wrap your hand around the something? We hear a lot of people doing media outings talking about something went wrong. They are very quick to bring or push their weights or their ideas around the fact that the interest of the crisis, the initial or the virgin interest of the crisis has been aborted, it has been compromised, but nobody can dare to say what exactly the compromise is. Do you think there are some people, political figures who are using this for their interests? Do you think those in the bushes, anti-government, do you think they don't even know the just cause, or they are doing this for their own selfish gains as well?
Okay, thank you. On your introductory note, you said who is using who, and I think there are some actors behind the scene using some other actors. I might not want to call names like I told you, but let me just intrigue our mind. In what point did the crisis escalate? When our popular actor Mancho BBC did the Coven Parade in Bamenda, the government was frightened. When Siseku Ayoktabe was taken in Nigeria, the population got mad. So you see two opposite scenarios. When Mancho BBC was captured, the government was frightened because he had the love of the people. When Siseku was taken in Nigeria, the government felt after a few weeks after like they did something wrong, because he was out of the Cameroon territory and he was captured out of our territory.
So are you saying that
now at that point we have people like Mark Barata and co that introduced what we call Ghost Town. That is around 2018, early 2019. And in that ghost town, there were a lot of things that were introduced, like we have to protect our territory, we have not to allow these people to infiltrate our territory, and a whole lot of many things, like my brother said. We're doing some of these things without understanding the intricacy, without understanding the consequences. And at that point, we lose it, and it became a crisis. Now, after that, those who have money-minded ambition came in now to use the whole scenario for something else that we call selfish reason. That's what we are seeing now. It's no more the crisis.
Would you want to say that in this case, this is not solely government affair, but at a certain point, various actors in making sure that the crisis is brought to an end, or the crisis meets a befitting conclusion, their hands have been soiled? So do you think it's not solely government affair, but everybody has a part to be blamed, Mr. Sinju?
Yes, like I said, everybody has a part to be blamed. Everybody has a part to be blamed. You need to understand that government started pulling the rope very tight on this crisis when it has to touch the form of the state. And you agree with me and other panels here that we are today because of the form of the state. Nobody will want to give credit to government for the reforms brought into the educational system, the judiciary. We saw the common law created. And educational system, we saw that many francophone or many Cameroonian teachers of French expression were taken off from the Anglophone region, and we even saw that they even created a bilingual institution to train teachers who can communicate in both languages. I don't always have problem to say someone who is from across the Mongo to come and teach in the Anglophone region. I have a problem. To me, in as much as you can express yourself in both languages clearly, there is no problem. The problem is which you come and you can't express yourself in the language that the people, that is the first language of the people. That way the problem is. So to say that no, so a francophone come here and teach, no problem. If the francophone is able to communicate in English and can teach perfectly, then we are good to go.
I think the situation was they could not communicate in the first language.
Well,
it was rampant. Yes. I was in UB by then. I was in UB in 2014. We had a lot of francophone teachers, lecturers teaching us geography. They could not complete a complete sentence in English without mixing it in French, and it was a problem, a very big problem.
Yeah, it was a problem. I understand. You know what was? I'm saying that because what people were at that moment were like, all the francophone teachers must go, all the francophone teachers must go. That was what was actually put forth. But again, you are right. Like I said, if you can be able to communicate. But now, let me come back to the issue of the formal state, which is the bone of contention here on the table. You know, from the beginning, when the protesters were touching the formal state, the focus was on federation. The federation has touched the form of the state as well. So the focus was on federation, which according to the protester or the leaders at that moment, the idea was that no, we can stay together, we can still be in a union, but let's see how we can manage to run. And you know, before the crisis came in 2016 September, you know that we have had some Cameroonians who have formed some pressure group like this NCNC has been existing already.
Yeah, from the 60s.
And in the 60s. So it has been already, we all know that even before the crisis, government has always been fighting against the group. Every 11th of February, we will always notice, even before the crisis, we will notice that there's always an increase in the presence of security and defense forces on the field in this region. It has never been new. Maybe some people saw it in 2016, but it has been there. 20 May, we will have that, and so on and so forth. So when the Protestant or the leaders of this group met and started touching the form of the state, and that is where this group of persons decided to come in to hijack the crisis now, and instead of to continue to press forth for the Yaoundé administration from a federal state, they now remove it and put you know, a separation, which we know it is something that it was impossible, rather it is even still impossible for the government. You see, people might want to think that no, we have seen in other countries issue of separation, it is something that nations, they don't joke with it, they frown at it a lot. Look at neighboring Nigeria. We see have groups of persons, the Biafrans, who are also pressing for separation. But you see, the government of Nigeria does not even smile at that. Other countries in the world who bring about separation ideas without France. So it is not easy, and it's something that no country in the world has always accepted that no, a particular portion of the country should be separated from another. So, which I think that it's not fair. And to think that the issue of separation came on the table, that is where we are today, which is a bone of contention, and we believe that we can still live as brothers and sisters and continue to press forth to the government to do reforms that we can be able to live together and operate.
Thank you so much. We have been joined by a gentleman who is going to be adding so much weight on the panel tonight as well. Mr. Pope Bertrand is a political analyst, he is a civil engineer, and he is a political commentator. He has been on the program so many times, and his appearance on Matters always matters. You're welcome, Mr. Pope Bertrand.
Thank you very much, Mabel. It's a pleasure meeting on occasions like this to brief Cameroonians on the ailment that is on. Bet you, for us to get out of this, the government must start giving the right antidotes if we must come out of this quagmire. You see, I met other gentlemen on the platform. They were talking. They spoke as Cameroonians. I've heard that some of those speak like Moroccans, but they have touched the light and the points of this country, and I'm impressed by their analysis. I really have taken time to analyze the facts on ground. You see, we are a body made of two wholes, the Anglophones and the Francophones. History brought us way back from Nigeria. We don't want to, and we won't say we don't want to go there. I beg to correct my statement. And we have our different rich cultures we try to protect. That is why history will always make us to understand that, you see, institution. I remember when America were drafting their declaration for their independence in 1769 on the 4th of July. They said they hold that statement as a proof of evidence that all men are born equal and they are endowed by their Creator, and that they have the pursuit of life and the pursuit of happiness, that it is upon this that government are instituted amongst men. And when the government fail to operate the way it was designed to, it is the duty of the people to rise and question such governments. It is upon this note, I beg to say that, inasmuch as the Anglophone crisis has been kicked under the table, we still have many other problems, mismanagement of government activities in this country. I want to cite my story by this. You see, it differs when you're controlling animals, and it differs when you are dealing with human beings. For example, if I take a people of the coastal plain who mostly do fish ponds, likewise the people of the north who do cattle ranging, and some other villages around the west who are good at piggery. You see that when you deal with animals, the animals tend to love you more, because they feel that you give them feed every morning, you protect against other wild odds. But if those same animals knew that you will be the same person to eat them or to sell them out, I bet you they'll treat you differently.
So what's the point? Now,
this is my point. We are treated in a government where 184 million will be given to Cameroon as aid to fight climate change. The money will end up in coffers which we cannot justify. We are in such a situation where the ministers of this country have chosen bottles of champagne over potable water for all. We are in a situation where the ministers and the leaders feels that it is the common man who has to work for the nation, thereby saying that is why, you see, we must rise to call this government to book. The Anglophones did so, and up to today, 7 years, a lot of pressure has been set, pressure has been mounted on the government, but they go around telling the story, prolonging the story. They bring men of God to come and preach, to tell the story. Like I earlier said, it is time we start seeking for the right antidotes to this crisis. Life has been lost. Francophones, Anglophones, military, anti-military, Cameroonian population is losing.
Mr. Bertrand, what do you think that the antidote could have been that would have trimmed or narrowed down the chances of having the Anglophone crisis lingering for up to 7 years and counting? What do you think that antidote would have been?
Most people have used the word genuine dialogue, but I won't like to use that phrase because I find it like a broken record. Consciences, people on high horses, people on administrative position, they should be satisfied with their bank accounts as of now. They should have pity for the common man. They should have pity for the Anglophone. They should have pity for this country.
Is the Anglophone crisis all about bank accounts and corruption?
Why do I say so?
Make it about that.
Yes. Why do I say so? There are people who move for trips. I'm going for this seminar in Kumba. I'm going for this seminar in Yaoundé. We have an intelligence security meeting in Betua. We have this in Bamenda. When they go out, they have heavy allowances.
So how does that contribute to fanning the crisis to flames for the last 7 years?
If you should know that war itself is an economic tool. War itself is an economic tool. People use war to enrich themselves. I must tell you, the COVID pandemic was a war.
But don't you see?
Now let me learn. So people are using. We have personalities who were made, given positions 2 months, 3 days more than they bought luxurious. It's not as per their salaries. It's as per the crisis. So let us keep all our passion for wealth, for riches, and try to solve this country.
Why do I feel like there are a lot of things you are not saying?
Please, I would just like to come in the aspect of money and corruption, like what you're saying.
I just want you to be in tandem with what we are saying, as far as the crisis is concerned. I think the question to Mr. Bertrand was, what would have been the antidote that would have narrowed the chance of the Anglophone crisis panning to up to 7 years?
Okay, let me just put it in a direct way. The top administrative body working directly with the local personnel. The local personnel can be civil society actors, local administrators, journalists, and so on. I will give you a vivid example to tell you that not all of our ministers and administrators are really corrupt. At times, it is me and you that are fanning the crisis. I give you an example. We have some local administrators and traditional rulers who left Limbe and they went to Yaoundé to this minister. I would not like to call the name. And they were like, Mr. Minister, His Excellency, as we are talking now, Limbe is on fire. That Limbe is burning. I'm talking about people like me and you who have access to these offices because of the crisis. Why? Because these people are up there, they are looking down on us.
And what's the influence that we having access to these offices have on the crisis?
Okay, now, for instance, if I have vital information, I can go up there, I communicate it, they see how to implement the solution on the ground. Because they are in Yaoundé, they don't know what is happening in Boya. They don't know what is happening in Ekona, in my 16. Now, these fellows were telling this minister, Limbe is on fire. Now, the minister was like, what can I do? That, okay, now, some of these boys, at times, they shoot gun, they burn down places. It's not because they really love it. It's just because they are frustrated. Just give us 50 million. Let's go down and call some of them. Give them this money to establish businesses. And the minister went into his cupboard, was packing money.
Are you talking about one event, or you think that this
one of the scenario.
Okay.
One of the scenario. To tell you, at times when you are talking about some of these administrators, you might just have a wrong perception about them. Okay. Now why he's counting this money?
Can I have my mic?
Why he's counting this money? His PA walked in and said, "Sir, what are you doing?" He said, "Limbe is now on flame." Now the PA said, "I've always told you that when there is an incident, let me know, so that I can call my people on the ground." The PA called somebody in Limbe that how is Limbe this morning? The person said Limbe is fine. There's nothing happening. Now, if you look at that scenario, who is fanning the flame of the crisis more? Is it the ministers
I think the
who are up there or the grassroots actors?
Okay, now fine. That's a take. That's now. Let me. You said I should go down openly. You have used a scenario of the grassroots funding the crisis. I said here that we must pity Cameroon as it stands.
It's the same pity I was talking about.
Now that's what. Let me learn. All of us must try to have pity and mercy for this country. You also have. I will not give it to you as an example. You have ministers who know very well that there is an Anglophone crisis, and they stood on State Cameroon TV and said that si il veut, on va que tuer comme le rat. They said those statements. We had ministers who stood day in, day out to denounce that there is no crisis in the Anglophone regions.
But at least they have repented.
Okay, that's why I'm telling you that that is how the disease got to spread out. Ministers are now seeing the need for peace to be attained. Some stakeholders are seeing the need, but some other persons feel that they have already satisfied themselves. This is our own time to satisfy ourselves. And by the time these people now satisfy themselves, the other junior ones will say, vous êtes déjà mangé, attends nous manger avant qu'on trouve la solution.
And so it's a ripple effect.
So that's why I say all of us as of now, we must pity Cameroon and go to our genuine consciences, sit down, get the different opinion, let the disorder play, and the order will come in.
Who should do what? Who should do what? Who is responsible for what? And who is supposed to do what?
Like I said in the American Declaration of Independence, it is for this reason, one, the growth of population, the administration of population, that institution, governments are put in as institution. And if the government don't act, the people have the right to question the government. But we have a government where the people cannot question.
No, we are actually questioning the government.
Now let me learn.
That's why we are protesting, and that's why there is a crisis.
Let the government say, okay, we have noticed that there is a problem, and now let us come and speak. Nobody wants Cameroon. I don't think that if you ask 95 or let's say 85, the population of Cameroon, they tell that they want to go apart. Very few will do so.
Okay.
But let us have a good governance.
Is that why the crisis has been lingering? Because of good governance?
Of course. Yes. The people what's the meaning of marginalization?
Is it because of
it's marginalization? Wait. I heard they talk about
because of good governance the crisis.
Is it because of good
that's
governance
why,
or federation?
That's why no. If there is a good governance is instituted, even the word federation will go away. We have lived for this country for the past 60 years.
No, but now
let me learn. We have lived in this country for the past 60 years. There was NCNC who came up spontaneously for their own activities. But that was only on 1st of October.
No, they were very structural. They were not spontaneously.
Now listen. After that, they go back to their hidings. I call it hidings because they were not as popular as we had the name of the separatists and Amber Boys, Janshu Boys, rocking radio station and TV houses. Now, since this governor was put in place, some people felt that because they are not part of the government, it was a bad governance, but that was not the case. But now, after 60 years, after 60 years of grumpiness, the people have now felt that you gave us decentralization, it's not working. Rapid decentralization is not working. Let us try federation. That is just to better the form of the state. It is not kicking out the form of the state. For whosoever wants to kick out the form of the state, I believe that you and I stand here to say no. But if a good government is instituted, we can live again in one Cameroon.
Has it been ongoing for almost 8 years, 7 years and counting, because of bad governance, or because the people at this particular point are clamoring for federation?
I don't think we want to look at the present situation where the crisis is going. I don't think it's bad governance. Now we cannot be talking about bad governance now. Yeah, you can tell me that the bad governance provoked the crisis, but now when
And
we
the
talk
bad
about-
governance has been there before the
it
crisis.
has been there since, but for the crisis to be lingering on for you, I don't think it's bad governance. I have the feelings that Mr. Bertrand is not responding to all their questions very well. he keep turning around because you have asked him several questions about who is responsible, who is supposed to come out.
And I've said that the state is responsible. The state need to reshape itself.
Yes.
If the state reshape itself,
Okay,
we will
good.
all belong to Cameroon again.
Good. Now-
Those ideas of secession, federation, we will not even have it.
Now let me
Because if you go to federation, some people are proposing 10 states. Some people are proposing 2 states. Some people are looking at the reunification monument at Yaoundé. That it should go back to 5 states.
now now
That's why I tell you it is all about the form and the stand of
Let
the
him make a
government.
point. Thank
yeah,
you, Mr.
yeah, yeah. Let me come in. You know, you may mention the fact that so about money, people enrich themselves, people going to a particular area. No. You need to understand that it's normal on government payroll that when you are sent out,
Yes.
yet you have to take
Allowances.
allowance for the number
Good.
of days that
Good.
you will not be sent out. You will not be sent out. They have to for your car. You have
But
to stay in a
how
hotel.
is that in tandem
Yeah.
with fueling the crisis up to this amount? I feel
I will
that-
answer
That's
you.
what I was trying
want
to
to answer you.
understand,
Let me give
because
you
I
that
don't
point
understand.
now.
We
Let me
agree on
answer you.
point. I
Let
think
me
we agree on
answer.
point.
Now you talk about outstation allowance.
Yeah, because I do not understand how it's
You,
really
okay, now let me
dealing with
ask
the
you: if
crisis.
a minister have to make, without a crisis, a minister could make 10 moves in a month, right, or in a year. But now with the crisis, you hear that this village has been burned, this person has been ambushed. It multiplied the chances of his outstation allowances. That is what
So
I'm saying.
is the
here.
minister
So has
actually
it become a
put-
fund
I
or
am
a
not saying that the
money-making
minister, but we
event?
have actors on ground who we don't know who have instituted them to keep on fighting this crisis, so we can have multiple trips.
So you
that
cannot-
is one
No,
of the
but-
bottom
no,
lines.
but you cannot
you may
authoritatively
not
say
you
that
may not
the minister-
agree.
Yeah.
I haven't said the ministers. I'm talking out as an
Yes,
example.
I understand. I'm still trying to
You
find
get
out
it?
how their mission here and there to go and check this thing is actually causing the crisis to linger on.
No, then it means you are not on this platform.
No, I want to
No,
understand.
I have just told you that one can choose to multiply his subvention, his outstation allowance, his trips to Northwest, Southwest, Kumba, Mansi.
Yes.
Just as without the crisis, I don't think that without the crisis, any minister have been to Murphy, unless you want to remind me.
They have.
No, that's
So,
why
okay,
I'm
now-
open
okay,
for
now,
correction.
the question is
I'm
how-
open for correction.
Yeah, the question I want to
So
understand.
I'm just telling you, if there was no crisis, for example, for
I
example,
think his point is clear enough at this juncture. I mean, saying that there are some bottlenecks in authorities who would not want this ceasefire to happen because of the
Is that what you're saying?
I think that's
you should have heard that. You should
No,
have
if that's
heard
what
that.
I say, well,
I think
okay.
that's what he's saying in a nutshell. But then, Mr. Sinjo, you were
Yeah.
saying something before words were seized from your mouth. Before we get into the crux of the matter, who should be doing what? Who has to do what? What
Okay.
role are we supposed to play? Because you have decided, to roll out the blame entirely on government's face. So everybody is bearing the brunt of it in one way or the other, including the media, the press, which I represent.
Yes, I think here the government as the only legalized institution will play a greater part in this crisis, but we all have a role to play. Now, I think as it stands now, government should be aware of the fact that it's not yet over, because those administrators in those crisis hit region, town and city, villages, they keep on giving wrong information to the government in Yaoundé that it is well, but I want to say that it is not well, because as a crisis linger on, different strategy has been put forth by the separatists. You understand that at one moment you will see that every day we hear shooting, but now it is no longer the situation. They give the impression to those administrators that everything that don't even exist. At one moment you will hear of a terrible things that happen here and there. The case about 3 weeks ago, around the central market. We hear about Kumba, we hear about Kumba, all those things. So you see that the strategy they are using now, they sleep. They think you give it the impression that they have gone. And the government now will now think that no, everything is peaceful. So what am I trying to say? That the government should be on the alert at any moment, because I think that it's not yet over. It's kind of a guerrilla fight. They hit, they run, rest, and they come all back. I think this is where now on our path, I think that Cameroonians, especially those in the two regions, I wouldn't blame them that much, because we are in a situation where we are between the devil and the Red Sea. So much so that we find ourselves sometimes helpless to even assist the government in trying to put an end to the crisis. Because at one moment, you think they want to assist the government, you don't know who is watching. Might be reported now that the next thing is that the people of the other camp to tell you as a black leg. So we have a responsibility. It is either we don't fund and create more problems and the crisis, rather than us funding it. We should allow the situation as the way it is, rather than funding it. So I think that this is where we have a role to play. Everyone, including including the media, the civil society, we must be able to understand that at any moment we find ourselves, whatever contribution we are doing is to provide a solution, and not what's the case.
Mabel, I want to key into what he was saying. You see, if you say that you don't blame the Yaoundé government, I beg to differ with you, because you don't have the means to go into the hinterlands of Manu, the hinterlands of the Northwest. No, let me land. To convey a meeting, it requires raw cash. It requires some features to convey a meeting: chiefs, that personnel, civil society, politician of an elite of that region. So let us sit down. Let the government come out a chunk of money.
No, we are not getting the point you're trying to water down.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm saying that let the government be true to itself and to its population.
So are you saying, in contradiction to what Mr. Sinju is saying, that the entire solution
can come from the government? More of the government. Because the government have the institution to put in place. Just like he said, you can be a good Cameroonian of right standing if you are giving an information to the government which it is your obligatory to assist. Let me learn 1 minute to assist the government. You may be termed wrongly, but the government have the infrastructure, the capital, the budget that can sit down, invite everyone, calm down, and we talk this thing, sit on it once and for all. Than that you hear that chiefs from Manu are visiting the prime minister to go and give their own side of the story. Chiefs from the north and the prime minister will give them this same take-home package, fuel money on a different occasion. The ones from the northwest still come and carry their own. The ones from Bachotai come and carry their own. Why not we put this money down, call everybody, we'll sit down and have this thing discussed once and for all? Because as it is, people comes up with different ideas of extorting money from the government. I call it extortion.
See, you need to understand that the crisis we had is very complex. Yes, it's very complex. We cannot say the defense and security forces cannot be in every local clinics in Northwest and the Southwest region.
They don't need to
villages, town. Yes, they don't need to be.
They don't need to be. Yeah, you can solve the problem even from Boya, and it's solved down there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a very complex situation on our part. There is the population of these two regions, and even that on the government. Even that on the government will need collaboration of those who are down there to be able to do this. Like I said, you don't expect the defense and security forces to be at every place, and that is why I blame the government, because at one moment government thinks that it is over, which is not over. That is the weakness they take. and it goes back to sleep. And so what we are saying is that it's something that we all have to come into play. If we think, because mind you, we are the one living in these villages, in this town, and we understand what happens. We feel the pains the more. If the road is blocked today, the governor wants to go to Kumba, the governor will go. Take it from me, we'll leave it. Whatever, if we have seen on Ghost Town, the lockdown day, ministers are entering Buea. How are they entering?
Those are cosmetic solutions.
How are they entering?
We want the right antidote.
So,
we're talking about the right antidote. Those are cosmetic solutions, forceful solutions. We want the right solution to be put down, no matter the cost.
The right solution and the way out is that we all must acknowledge, accept that we have suffered a lot. It is time to join the government and see how we can come from this problem. We have to acknowledge that we have seen arson attacks, we have seen markets burned, we have seen business crumble, many have been killed.
If I might want to come in to support Armstrong, I don't know, is Armstrong?
Yes, sir.
All right. From what you're trying to say concerning the side of the government, I can say I'm partly involved with governmental issues when it comes to Southwest. I'll give you 3 scenarios after the All National Dialogue. We had the All Southwest Development Conference. When I talk of Southwest, all the 6 divisions came to Buea to discuss what? The crisis. In that scenario, do you think it was an antidote or a cosmetic solution, or it was a right step? That is one. I've attended security meeting at the Buea Council about twice, called by the senior divisional officer to discuss what? The crisis with the local population. And I've attended meeting in Yaoundé severally to discuss what? The crisis. So when you keep on talking about the government has not done this, the government has not done this, the government has not done this, it might just be because of information. And to put it to you, the government is trying. Though our government is not perfect, there is no citizen in Cameroon that will sit on any media and tell you that we have a perfect government. We don't. In as much as we are looking for a perfect governance, we keep calling on them to do the right thing. Now, it is the right thing that our moderator keep on asking. Yes. What should they do?
Now, you are not the moderator.
No, I know.
Permit me to respond to what he has said. You see, you may be conversant with the government security outstands. I want to tell you that even among the 12, there was a Judah. So if you convey all the meetings, there is still a Judah. I wonder it is time we stand up and look for that Judah amongst us.
So how do we look for the Judah, Mr. Bertrand?
Good.
Rather than focus on the problem.
When 11 of us are upright, our consciences are made up that want a solution. When our consciences are made up that want a solution, it will be easier for us.
And you think people in these 2 rustic regions are not tired and their consciences are not alive seeking?
That is what I am saying. I'm just saying that the government stand the chance.
Let me shush you a little. It's still my panel. Yes. At the point where houses are being razed, looting, endless burning down of trucks, cars, and lives being claimed on a daily, do you think it suffices, or it's going to be fair for you as a political analyst and animator to say that when our consciences are awake, then we are going to see the solution? Do you think people are not sleeping with their eyes wide open?
Yes, people are sleeping with their eyes wide open. I'll give you another tough secret that is not easily released on such a platform. Let me tell you, when in the days of what do they call this guy up the hill there at Bangwal, around General, what do they call him? Field Marshal. in the days of Field Marshal, I have a confidential information that I hold that they have planned like this, plan him, capture him, ready to launch. In 2 minutes, information have reached him. Where was a Judah amongst them or not? So even including the Judah, let the Judah say that I want to repent, and let all of us repent. That is what I want. I've been struggling to say now since the beginning of this crisis.
All right.
You give another example here. You said, and I put it back to you that it cannot be any other tribe to leave the southwest and go to Yaoundé and give a tangible information that will warrant the minister to send immediate solution in catch. You must be of the Limbe based stock. Was it a francophone who took a message to Yaoundé? Let me learn. I'm just asking you. So I'm still telling you all the meetings we have been conveying. When we want to go to the meeting, let us say my children have enough. This family have enough. Let me now sacrifice for Cameroon. Let us sacrifice for this country, not for our individual's pocket. Be you the government, be you the separatist, be you the local administrator. It is time for us to put our differences down, our claims, and think of this country. That is what I'm saying. All true. And it's like people are not be getting me.
If I want to come in concerning what can be done, actually, I'll first of all ask myself this question. Who is fighting who? The separatists, who are they fighting with? As it stands now, for the past 3 years from 2020, I can say we have been fighting ourselves. We have been fighting ourselves. You speak the truth, they come and pick you as a black leg. They sit, they are hungry, they come and pick you for ransom. You sit, you go and associate with the government, they say you are a black leg. Now, at the end of the day, though many persons will say when it comes to crisis, when it comes to war, some of these things are normal characteristics. But are we doing the right thing in the midst of the crisis? I'm talking now about our non-state armed guys, who they are popularly called as voices in the bushes. Now, our own recommendation as actors, as civil society actors, is what can we do in such a situation, which if you can see, the rehabilitation center has been formed. That is one point and one step the government has put to show a good faith. Now, let me end. We are talking of solutions. Yes. Now, the government has made a good faith. I call it faith.
And what about the regional councils?
I'm
Is
just
that part of the faith?
Yes. No, yes, it's also part of the faith. It's also part of the faith. Now, I want to focus on the rehabilitation center. Now, after all the atrocities you have caused, the government tells you, we are ready to pardon you. The community you have caused this atrocity is ready to pardon you. And out of all of that, you have a place to go there and recalm your mind. Now, I ask this other party, what is their own good faith they have done? Because, like my brother said, we are in the middle. We are suffering. The government is making endeavors to see this thing come to an end. There is a communique that is on viral, signed by the new installed senior divisional officer, that Monday is not a day for leisure. Monday is a normal working day. What has me and you done to make sure that we put that decision into making? On Monday, we find ourselves.
What would you suggest as somebody who rubs shoulders with local governments and administrators? What would you suggest to the local person watching? What should be done to actually, stamp out or roll out the practical imposition of good stamp?
I will borrow the words of the paramount ruler of Boya, Dr. Endele, who said, I would rather not be afraid of who I don't know. If these guys are telling you, close your shops on Monday, you have never seen them, and you are afraid of them, then the government is telling you, open your shops on Monday, who will you be afraid of?
Now, we don't see them, but we see their act.
That is the thing. That is the thing. It's a twist of fate. And what I've been saying, I'm a psychologist, a professional psychologist for 7 years in the University of Boya. I can tell you from the human aspect of it, most of these things are crafted in our mind to instill fear.
Okay, maybe let me respond to some few points you made. I see them very. Yes, like I've always said, the government, because they have the willpower. I repeat the words, and with that willpower, they can do and undo. And us as loving Cameroonians, real love, because the streets are dry. I'm coming from Limbe to be here because so it means I've been walking the whole day. Good. Now, when I use the word antidotes, you know what it means. I believe the panel also buys into that. When you take the wrong antidotes for a different disease, don't expect solutions.
Good.
When you say rehabilitation, those institutions are put in place after genuine resolution has been taking place. The government now feels that this genuine resolution has been taken. Now freedom must be rolled on the floor. And these people who have hold arms, we need to recycle them. That is where they create rehab. They rehabilitate them. You cannot create a rehabilitation center when the war is still going, when the solution has not been found. I'll give you an example. I am a civil engineer. I have been to that rehab center with a document from Yaoundé to do boreholes and I think some classrooms, workshops. The refugee, the ex-combatants are not there yet. Why were the institution put in place?
No, they are there now.
No. Let me learn.
You might not want to give the wrong information to the public.
No. Let me learn. That was last year.
No, they are there. As from last year, they are there. Please, I will not be part of that. From last year, January, they are there.
No. I beg
no, I might not want to be part of that.
No, I'm telling you that if I have it wrongly in my brain.
No, except you went.
No. I'm telling you that I went there, including the delegate up there.
No.
I went with a document from Yaoundé. Nobody is there.
No.
If they have gone there this early January, then applause to the government. You cannot tell me that I have a document from Yaoundé to be classrooms in that place.
Mabel,
okay, thank you.
Mabel, I think Mr. Bertrand. You see, to say that you can't do this, you can't do that when the war is still going on, I have never seen it. Go to the Korean War in Gaza, Israel.
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Rehabilitation should have been
constructed. No, listen. You cannot explain to
let me
the text of
rehabilitation centers.
Let me learn. You don't expect that in Manfe, for instance, hospitals were burned down. The war has not ended. They shouldn't reconstruct or rehabilitate the hospital to cater for those who are still living.
No, that's a different thing.
No, when I'm still coming.
The word rehabilitation is for ex-combatants.
Yeah, I'm coming there.
Reconstruction is a different thing. No. Let us be familiarized with the terminologies.
I'm coming there.
Reconstruction and rehabilitation are two different institutions.
Okay,
yes, I'm coming there. Now, you don't expect that schools. Because it's the same thing. He's from the same school of thought who say that reconstruction, he's from the same school of thought. So they are the same. So you don't expect that schools are burned down in a particular community. You don't expect that they reconstruct those schools to cater for those who are eager to go to school.
And then the same action repeats.
And also, I want to ask you,
instead of looking for the real solution.
But Mr. Bertrand, you know what you have said.
Now, let me count it.
No, because I don't.
Mr. Sinjo and Mr. Tambe, please, you put a pause. So, Mr. Bertrand, what do you think the solution would be?
Now, the solution would be first that actors of mental siloquence to keep their distance for this country. And let us who belong to the country come out. I may be hard on the government because I love this country.
Mental what is that?
People who sing praises for the government. You get it? You know, it happens on all platforms. It happens on all platforms. You will not tell me that, yes, it is your right as a Cameroonian to be employed, to have your wages, your salary. But when something hits Cameroonians, let us say that it has hit Cameroonians. For example, let me see if
I need a cohesion in your point.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that I am here to say that what we need from the government point of view, from the government camp, to the local suffering population, to our elite, to our chiefs, to our chiefdoms. Let us stand up in genuine mindset
And do what?
and say no to this.
To
Is-
what?
To the crisis itself.
Okay.
That's what I've been saying here. Let us say no to this. We have boys who have dropped down their guns and walked into police stations. That is the point I'm painting. You get it? So why some other people are in the bushes trying to kidnap people, while some other government officials are trying to see that they'll get more trips to the southwest and northwest, and why some other officials are feeling that by the time the minister is coming, they'll be giving them money to mount checkpoints for temporary peace. We are not into temporary peace. We are looking for the full option, and how we can get it is by all of us coming out to say we are tired. We'll start talking from there.
Thank you. Mr. Tambe, over to you. You had a lot to get off your chest.
Yes.
Maybe you want to start by, picking holes in some of the statements that were made by Mr. Bertrand.
Thank you. One of the things he said is, I think all of us, all the 28 million plus Cameroonians love this country. And though we have been seeing rampant commentators on some different sister medias making a lot of praises to the government, you keep that aside. We all want this crisis to an end. If this crisis can end this evening, it will give me a whole lot of joy. Not just because I have any direct benefit on it, but just because I know there are some parents in some remote areas that will feel the peace, and some of our sisters that are seeking as refugees in different places will come back to their motherland. That is what will give me joy. Now, I can tell you on my own part, to tell you that how much I have been doing to make sure that this crisis to come to an end. Now, as we are talking, I have a correspondent from the Prime Ministry office. I have a correspondent from the Minister of Territorial Administration. I have a correspondent from the Minister of Youth, signed by the ministers to work with local government to see what we can do. They meet projects, they meet scenarios that we can do to make the crisis come to an end. Those are pragmatic steps. Not because I am a better Cameroonian than Mr. Bertrand. Not because I'm a better Cameroonian than you. But we are all putting our little drops of water to make sure that we see the ocean flow and quench down the flame of the crisis. Now, if I want to take a direct step of what we can do on my own part, is the continual praises we have been saying to our brothers that they should drop down their weapon. I think the president, who is the father of the nation, has done so a whole lot of time. What I think you are feeling is you are expecting one of these administrators to hold a whistle and say, the crisis has come to an end. It is not going to happen. That scenario will never happen. If you are expecting an individual to tell you that I'm announcing on national television or any sister media that this crisis has ended, it will not happen. It is me and you to continue to talk to these our brothers and our sisters to get reason with us and become responsible like me and you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinju. What do you think that a lasting solution would be?
Of course, the lasting solution, like I've said, I just want to say that in as much as the government is crying for the end of the crisis, we are crying. Even you agree with that, even those who have taken our arms are also crying that it should end. If not, we will not see some of them putting their guns down,
dropping their guns
to join the DDR center. Most of them, they wish that it should end. Most of them are regretting that this was not the direction they took.
And they were misinformed.
Yes, and they were misinformed. And that is why each time we have them, those who come to the DDR center, they will oftentimes share their story. They will understand very well. So I want to think that the center has been created, the rehabilitation centers, all those centers were created because we understand that as the war is going on, we might have people who feel that they were misled. We might have people who feel that no, their heart has been touched and they made a mistake by taking up arms against the state. And we might have people who think that no, I think this was not what we agreed from the beginning. And that's why we have the center. It is not that no, the way, yeah, the word is going on. We have not refused, but we cannot totally refuse some of these center. At least, like I mentioned, even in those institutions, those health center that has been burned down, at least you will agree with that. Even the boys who burned down those things, they might have had a reflection that their action were wrong. So we have to continue to rebuild. Even we build the burnt, because if we don't build, if we don't have those things, the remaining people will not survive in those areas. We are going to have a community that is extinct. We will not have people living there. So what is the only way forward at this junction, like I've been saying from the beginning, is that we must be conscious enough. We must agree that we are all tired. We are tired. The government is tired. Those who have taken up arms, they are tired of staying in the bushes.
The population is tired.
The population is tired. They are tired of staying in the bushes without no shelter. They are tired of staying in the bushes without having the right food to eat. So they are tired, to be told. And so let us agree that we didn't. What was agreed was not done well, and we come back to say no. It is time to put an end to the crisis, and we see how we can join the Yaoundé administration to see how we can assist government to put an end to this crisis. I think this is the only way. It is the joint effort of everyone. If you know you are tired, then you have a role to play, and your role must be that towards putting a ceasefire or towards ending the crisis. If you know you are playing a role to fight the crisis, you don't. If not, you better sit quiet rather than creating a situation that will rather fight the crisis, because we are tired of death. We are tired of arson attacks here and there. Those people are human. Whether you die from a military, you are a civilian, a Cameroonian. If you are a son or daughter of someone, whether you die from the bushes, you are a Cameroonian, and we are tired of seeing blood. Mabel.
Thank you so much. Of course, we are tired of seeing blood. We take on a few reactions and then we continue with the program. This one says, greetings, Mabel and the dynamic panelists in the studio. I'm enjoying the program. I think for us to know why guns still rattle, we have to differentiate between roots and immediate causes of the crisis. Prince Musa from Moliko. Thank you so much, Prince Musa. It feels good to know that somebody is following every bit of what the dynamic panelists, as you label them to be, are saying. They're trying in line with what Prince Musa is saying. This reaction, we need to differentiate the roots and the immediate causes. Do you think there is sense in what he's saying?
Yeah, he said it clearly. But the root causes are the bad governance I started talking about. That Anglophones felt that they were not part of this government. That Anglophones felt that they were marginalized. Anglophones felt that the judicial system, if they don't get up, it will be taken away from them. That Anglophones said their educational heritage is being threatened. These are the root causes. So we have stood by our root causes for so long, and that is why we say that we need a conducive, a legitimate, a meritorious dialogue for another time. If the first ones have brought in some institution and the institutions are grinding slowly, if we can have a second dialogue where we can draw the lines of the fouls of the first one and have an all-inclusive, a real talk. Because Mabel and my fellow panelists, the question used to be, on va dialoguer avec qui? But the president make you to know that we can talk, and we spoke. Let me tell you, when the national dialogue was announced, when preparations were going on, even the separatists from Europe halt. The ones in the bush were waiting for the outcome of that dialogue. That is to tell you that as we are all saying here, people are tired, and we need a cost. We need an effective solution. So I stand by one of those people who may say, I hit hard. Not I may have. I hit hard oftentimes because I know that we know where that tablet is kept, but out of egoism, tribalism, this self-greed, we don't want to go there and bring out the antidotes. It is time that we should come back as one nation and move from there.
Thank you so much. Come back as one nation and move from there. Of course, this February 23rd, something happened in Bafut around the Bamenda Womb stretch of road where about 6 trucks were burnt down, and of course, so many truck drivers were wounded. Trucks transporting sand, all in a bid to reinforce ghost towns, and the message was clear that they are trying to violate the imposed ghost towns by the separatist fighters. Of course, these sparked a lot of condemnation, but some of the heads of the Ambazonian forces came out and in a strong writing, example, Mr. Dr. Ayabacho came out in a strong outing and wrote that, hailing the strides made by Ambazonian forces towards burning down those trucks, and acting and serving a note of warning to the populace, asking them to actually respect Ghost Town once it had been announced by Ambazonian, and this will steer clear trouble and off the fangs of Ambazonian. I want to throw this as the second option, vis-a-vis the big elephant that we are trying to address in the room, which is 7 years on and guns still rattling, and how can we be a part of the peace? That is just a small fraction that has happened. I mean, this is just a tiny out of the billions and billions of damages that we get to record on a daily, Mr. Sinju. When you got that, I mean, we are talking about trucks. One truck, as we know, is worth. You are somebody who deals with cars too. I often see you so many times, as a businessman dealing with vending cars and all of that. So you should know the worth of one car, and to see 6 cars being inflamed. When you got wind of that in Bamenda, did it send a shiver down your spine?
Yes, Mabel, of course, the truck should be around 30 to 40 million. It is the same thing that happened in Kambe, a company responsible for tarring a portion of road in that area. When I noticed that their machines were burned down, I felt very bad. Mabel, it's 7 years on now with the issue of lockdown goes down, and I have asked myself this question many times. I have not seen an answer. The question is, what benefit has the lockdown, the ghost town, brought add value to the crisis, or brought to us in this region? I'm still trying to find an answer because I have checked, I can't find the benefit. One thing we understand that the ghost town or the lockdown declared by the leader at that moment was to actually call attention to the Yaoundé administration. Yeah, I don't think it was something that was done for 1 or 2 days, and now we don't actually understand the economic benefit of this. One thing we must understand, that in a war, in a revolution like this, in a crisis like this, if a particular party has taken an action, a strategy, to achieve a particular goal. And there is always time to sit down and review that strategy.
If it's workable.
If it's workable, if it's actually leading us somewhere.
But do you think it's not leading them somewhere?
I don't think it's leading them anywhere.
But
they lock down and they ghost town.
Maybe they could be giving themselves these applauses, thinking that they are doing it, and these ghost towns, imposed ghost towns, is actually giving them what they need. Just maybe.
What has it given to the independent? No, which is the primary focus which they are fighting for. That's what we're asking.
Has
Now,
it grabbed government attention?
Has it grabbed government attention? No, because like I said from the beginning, when they are fighting the government, like what they have said, they are fighting the government. Now, when you take an action to fight A, if the action you have taken, if A does not feel the impact, rather B or C feels that impact, then you should come to realization that no, this impact you are taking is not feeling the enemy which you are fighting. The enemy is the government, is your only administration. Now, they are not feeling the impact in the administration. Last year, mountain race, bomb were planted. Those that were affected. Yes, those that were affected. The minister who were passing with the balls, they were not affected. The governor, the DOs, or those top local administrators, they were not affected. And the common was affected. So what we are saying is that their actions all the times does not affect the person which they claim they are fighting to push their enemy, which they want to push forward. Yes, want to push back. And so that's why I'm saying that when you are in a crisis, when a revolution, when in a war, that is why in a war you have generals who are in the war front. The generals are not on the field fighting. They are not people, but they are behind to be doing re-strategizing. Those who are fighting are people who have been stationed to fight. So we believe that they need to take a restock to understand that their actions that they do, who do they affect the most? The enemy which they are struggling to push, or the common man which they are fighting to put. And in every revolution, Mabel, in every organized revolution, you are fighting to defend those you are fighting to defend and not to punish them. And if you realize that your action has taken is bringing devastating negative effect on those who you are fighting to protect, you need to go back to the drawing board to see how you can prevent the damages. But this is not the case we see here. This is not the case we see here. So what am I saying is that their actions, they need to review their actions. They need to understand that for 7 years counting now, we have not even seen a green light of what is happening.
It has been
so yes, and so the action of lockdown goes down. We are still to understand the impact it has created.
Mr. Bertrand, with the event that unfolded in Bamenda, the burning down of almost 6 trucks, do you think that pushing the frontier of the weight of the ghost town imposition and making it, switching the dynamics and the dimensions, today it is cars, tomorrow targeting humans, the other next tomorrow IEDs, and just changing the dynamics, do you think that makes sense?
Well, when what happened on the 11th of February at Cambe, a publication was made that the people of Cambe have suffered. If you put the 2 hours lockdown, 1 day, 2 days, they have suffered 24 days of ghost town. That is, if you have to calculate it day in, day out, they have suffered. That's a whole month. You see, this lockdown of 18, I don't see the essence. Lockdown, I don't even see what roles it plays. It brings us a crippled economy, hardship. It has no point in the winning scale.
Do you think so?
I say so.
If it hadn't any points, then why are they persisting with it?
Now, what I would like to say here is that the people who agitated for reforms in our educational system and in the life of the common West Cameroonian, Southern Cameroonian Anglophones, have almost felt that they should abandon this crisis. And if I should tell you that those who are still paddling the canoe are some frustrated human beings who feel that some thieves who feel that it's not proper to go again and be what they call broke and enter into people's houses, but they are using this kidnap, using this, using that, imposing lockdown on the people, so just as to continue with that name that has been laid down as the Ambazonia crisis. Because if you take a man of right standing, as he said, the Mancho BBC, who cried for the potholes roads in Bamenda, and you took other people like Abobala, you take other people like Professor this other guy, his name if you take these people of right standing, you don't expect them to start championing such untold hardship on the people they wanted to protect. Again, if we see that the government, we are crying that the Anglophone areas, some people said marginalization, it cut across so many subtitles on the developed areas. You have these trucks going to supply sand, gravel for the developmental aspect of your community, and then you burn them down. Do you want that God should create a new village in the northwest and bring that all in the southwest? We have to develop our own cities by ourselves. You kill a young girl who is going to march, which is a fundamental right she owes the state as a student. You set bombs for athletes. The mountain race is an Anglophone culture, an Anglophone heritage. You want to distort
and decorating the nation as a whole.
And decorating the nation as a whole. You impose lockdown. How does that touch a minister drinking his whiskey at Hilton? How does that affect him? You see, one of the things is we need to be enlightened. More TV stations and radio houses to be duplicated so that people can be enlightened. So, talking about all those, I don't even like hearing about it because I don't see the cause. I don't see its objectiveness at all. I don't. It has been infiltrated by robbers, thieves.
Mr. Kambe, Henry, we are, of course, scrutinizing the effect of the crisis and also looking at probable solution. And one of the highlights of the show has been you, my dear panelists, trying to tell viewers and educating Cameroonians and the world at large how the peace can be achieved. You know, while Mr. Bertrand highlighted a genuine national dialogue and bringing down pride, Mr. Sinju Armstrong noted, some other salient points, and you too. But of course, we cannot turn our gaze outside some other happenings that have been making the rounds on social media and of course in our local communities. We have the Bamenda Womb Road, stretch of road, something which happened in Bafut, burning down 6 private trucks that could belong to your father, to your uncle, to yourself as an individual, to me. So it's a torture, something that is supposed to be aimed at torturing government. Now the torture is on Cameroonians. How affects A2D? The burning down of 6 trucks, how does it shake in the shores of A2D?
All right, thank you so much, Mabel. I think before I will go to what Dr. Ayabacho termed as economic sabotage, because when he came with his outing, that is what he termed the burning down of those trucks, that it is economic sabotage. Now, I ask myself, is it economic sabotage to the government or to the local individuals? Now, what I want to make outly clear is that in as much as those who started this vision, I call it a vision because from every indication, it was God-given vision to us to bring out a better standard of living to the Anglophones.
Through the crisis?
I don't want to call it crisis. It didn't start as a crisis. Now, those who started the vision, in as much as they are not still in the forerun, those who are coming in that my brother Bertrand are calling thieves and all sort of names, might not have the same vision like these persons. One of the role model was championing this crisis, be emanated to this scenario, was Dr. Fontaine-Niba. And I think if you ask yourself that why is such a person with such a portfolio is not more a name in the crisis, is to tell you that what is happening now and what was happening then are day and night. If you give this present situation to any normal Anglophone to tell you that I am in support of what is going on, I will tell you that is a lie. Because what is going on now is not what was put on the table from the onset. Now, look at a situation where you have individuals in a very difficult economy have struggled to raise 35 to 40 million, get their trucks for their economic operations on a certain day that was established by individuals for their own personal benefits. I don't want to go into the private benefits of the ghost town on the lockdown. And you have some group of persons who might not want to stay in the house because of their family, because they want to go out there and hustle and bring back something for their family to feed on. You end up hostiling them on the way, burning their trucks and brutalizing them in the name of fighting for their own development. Then I ask you in your normal sense, if they happen to be watching this program, that after this act, if you go back and reflect, if they were sent by their diaspora actors, diaspora mentors, diaspora sponsors, go back and reflect that that brother that you share a bottle of drink with, normally in the quarter, you go behind him, you burn his truck, you cause an economic havoc to him, to his family, to the community, and to the entire nation, all in the name of letting him know that he violated a certain ghost town. What did you do? That is my question. What did you do? And if we might be getting youth to be responsible, which is what my organization is all about, engaging young Africans in governance and leadership in Africa, we all believe in responsibleness. One of my mentors used to tell me that one of the reasons that the government has been failing is that they tend to pay more attention on irresponsible youth than the responsible youth. Today, me and you are here. We can be speaking here for the next 5 years. The government will not give us attention. Now, if I say, okay, let's pick stones and stand at UB Junction, each car that wants to pass will shoot. Before you know it, Yaoundé will call us. Now, the government of Cameroon should look at strategies to start encouraging responsible Cameroonians. This will tend to have a ripple effect. If I've been appreciated because I'm responsible, tomorrow my brother Bertrand wants to be responsible. The next day, Mr. Bertrand or Armstrong too want to be responsible. But if I see that Mr. Armstrong is being appreciated because he's irresponsible, he's violent, he's aggressive, me too, I want to take that similar route. So I'm pleading on the government to make sure that more attention is being given on responsible Cameroonians than irresponsible Cameroonians.
More attention is being given to responsible Cameroonians, and that is why I want to give the final word to these responsible Cameroonians here on the platform for their final words as we prepare to kiss the program a goodbye. Beginning from you, Mr. Bertrand, what do you have to say as we wave our final goodbyes?
Well, I want to say here that for those who are Christians, yesterday I was passing the night in my office because I had a lot of files on my table, and I had some other denomination praying and crying the whole night. I appreciated it because there is a living God somewhere. But as for this crisis, I want that our men of God who should so much believe in them should tell us that the solution is sincerity. The solution into this crisis is not about prayers. The solution to this crisis is, because if it was about prayers, we know of so many tribes in the Bible who, when it came to war, the word, they did not pray. So what I'm saying here that it is not time for prayer. It is time for us to sit down, put the differences on the ground, and give Cameroon a better place, a better chance of survival, and in return, we'll have a better life.
Thank you so much. Is that cutting all the teeth?
Yes, and dotting the i's.
Thank you, Mr. Sinju. What do you have to say as far as all of this is concerned?
Yes, I just want to say that, like I said before, we should all agree that let all of us be on alert.
Okay.
And improved on our security, call on the government to improve also on the security, and while we join every institution to help so that we can put an end to the crisis, and we continue to pray.
Thank you so much. In 1 minute, what do you have? In 1 second, what do you have to say?
Thank you very much. 7 years gone has been ranting what is the solution to be bring on the table by the youth. A YACLA, which is engaging young Africans in governance and leadership in Africa, continue to call on Cameroonian youth not to fall prey, but to be responsible, not to be a tool in the hands of connivers, but to be tool in the hands of the Almighty God, and to do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And of course, it's always an honor to have the right people for the right program. And that is why I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Mr. Pope Bertrand, to Mr. Sinju Armstrong, and of course to Mr. Henry Ithambe. Thank you all three for spicing up the program in amazing ways. We saw your messages, but want to promise you all that in the next program, which is going to be in tandem to what we were saying here today, we are going to be reading them out very loud and clear. Thank you, and always take the rendezvous every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at from 6 p.m. right up until 8 p.m. where you are going to be in my company, alongside the company of all the interesting panelists who are going to be making every topic very succinct and worthwhile. From me to you is a good night, and always stay glued to other programs that is going to be up and coming from High TV. And of course, up next is High Prime by Larry Ntegene. Good night.